Every story has a starting point, and for Monnett, that beginning can be traced back to a moment of frustration during the 2024 European elections. Christos Floros, a 31-year-old candidate running in those elections, found himself increasingly troubled by what he calls the surveillance-driven model of existing social networks. He kept encountering the same problem everywhere. People were being treated as products. Rather than participants, their attention was being harvested, their data was being sold, and their feeds were being manipulated by algorithms they could neither see nor control. That frustration became the seed of something new. Floros decided to build an alternative from the ground up, and he chose Luxembourg as the company's home base. It is a fitting location, in many ways positioned at the very heart of Europe, carrying with it a sense of European values and European ambition. The platform's name carries its own story. Originally, it was called Monnet, inspired by Jean Monnet, one of the founding fathers of the European Union, and a man whose vision helped shape modern Europe. But as the project developed, the name evolved into something more layered. The team added a second T, transforming Monnet into Monnet. The reasoning behind this change reveals a lot about the company's philosophy. The name combines the French phrase mon network, meaning my network, with the word transparent put together. Monnet translates to my transparent social network. It is a small linguistic shift, but it signals something larger about what the platform aims to offer. On October 15, Monnet launched in early access, opening its doors to the first wave of users who had been waiting to try something different. More than 36,000 people had already signed up before that date, drawn by the promise of a social space built on different principles. Let us talk about what's actually broken, because understanding the problem matters if we are going to appreciate why something different is needed. Here, a number that should stop you in your tracks. You might have 50,000 followers on a major platform, but only about 500 of them will actually see what you post. That's 1%. The platform decides who gets to hear from you, and it is not interested in making sure your message reaches people. It is interested in keeping everyone scrolling, watching ads, and generating data that can be sold. This is the core of what Monnet stands against. The major platforms have built something that feels social, but operates more like a casino. Every scroll is a pull of the lever, every notification is designed to bring you back, and behind all of it is something called behavioral tracking. Every pause, every click, every video you watch halfway through before moving on, all of it gets recorded and analyzed to build a psychological profile of who you are, what you fear, what you desire, and what might make you buy something. Then there's the advertising model, hyper-targeted surveillance. Advertising does not just show you products, it uses everything. The platform has learned about your behavior, your relationships, your vulnerabilities to show you exactly what might work on you. Specifically, you become the product being sold to advertisers, and now AI-generated content is flooding these platforms. Synthetic posts, synthetic images, synthetic conversations. The space that was supposed to connect humans is filling up with things that are not human at all. This is what the surveillance-driven model looks like. You are not really a user, you are inventory. Your attention is harvested, packaged, and sold. Monnet was built as a direct rejection of this entire approach. So how does Monnet actually put you in charge? The answer sits at the heart of the platform. It is called the algo control screen, and it works through a set of simple sliders that hand the decision-making power back to you. When you open this control panel, the first thing you will notice is how straightforward everything feels. You can adjust how much content appears from your friends versus the Accounts you follow. Maybe you want to see every update from your close circle, but only a curated selection from the creators and public figures you have chosen. The choice is yours, not something a machine decided for you. Then, there is the recommendations slider. This controls the diversity of your feed. If you want to discover new voices and perspectives beyond your immediate circle, you can open things up. If you prefer a tighter, more focused experience, you can dial it back. The point is that you are the one making that call. Perhaps the most interesting feature is something Monnet calls distance. This lets you decide how far your posts travel. You can keep things hyper, local, sharing content that only reaches people at street level in your neighborhood, or you can go broad, letting your voice carry across the entire platform. It is a way of thinking about social media that feels almost physical, like choosing whether to have a conversation in your living room or speak to a crowded auditorium. And here is something refreshing: every feed on Monnet is chronological. Posts appear in the order they were shared. There is no secret sorting, no hidden weights pushing certain content to the top. What you see is simply what happened when it happened. So let us talk about what happens when you actually spend time on Monnet, because this is where things get genuinely different. Most social platforms track everything you do, every post you pause on, every link you click, how long you linger on a photo, who you interact with when you are active, what device you are using. All of it gets fed into systems that build detailed psychological profiles. These profiles are then used to predict your behavior and serve you content designed to keep you engaged. Monnet takes a completely opposite approach. The platform does not track your experience while you are present on the network. There is no behavioral tracking at all. No psychological profiles are being created based on your time on the app or your interactions. Your private messages are encrypted, meaning they stay private. And there is something else worth mentioning: Monnet has explicitly rejected the use of AI systems or large language models. You will not find synthetic content being pushed through the platform. The focus is on human-to-human connection, not algorithmically generated engagement. This approach has an environmental angle as well by reducing data collection on interactions and avoiding the multiple hosting of your information across countless servers. Monnet is far more environmentally friendly than its competitors. Less data hoarding means less energy consumption, means a smaller carbon footprint. It is a privacy by design philosophy that treats you as a human being hosted in a digital space, rather than a user whose attention is a product to be sold. So where does the money come from to build something like this? Monnet has already secured some significant backing. The project raised €655,000 in pre-seed funding from European angel investors. And here is what is interesting: that group includes senior executives from Microsoft. So you have people who truly understand the tech landscape putting money behind a different approach to social media. The business model itself is straightforward. Monnet is betting on subscriptions rather than surveillance. There will be 2 tiers when the full platform launches, planned for January 2026. The Freedom tier costs €2.95 per month, and it is designed for anyone who wants to support the platform and be hosted without becoming a product. Then there is the Pro tier at €5.95 per month, which is aimed at creators. It includes analytics tools, so creators can understand their reach and audience without the invasive tracking you would find elsewhere. But subscriptions are not the whole picture. The company has plans to introduce an advertising system in 2027. The key difference is that this will not be the hyper-targeted surveillance advertising we are all used to think of it, more like traditional advertising, where your data is not being harvested and sold to make ads follow you around the internet. To really scale this vision, Monnet is now seeking more than €2 million in a seed funding round. That money would help them grow the platform and reach more people who are looking for an alternative. It is an ambitious path, but it starts with a simple idea. What if you paid a small monthly fee instead of paying with your privacy? The numbers tell an interesting story. More than 36,000 people signed up for early access before the platform even opened its doors in that first month. About 10,000 people became monthly active users, actually spending time on the platform day to day. That is not viral explosion territory. But it is something perhaps more valuable. It is a signal that people are genuinely curious about an alternative. The geography of those early adopters matters too. The strongest interest came from the Benelux countries, Germany, France, the UK, Italy, and the United States. This spread across Europe and into North America suggests the appeal is not purely local patriotism. People beyond Europe's borders also seem hungry for something different. Behind all this stands a remarkably lean operation. The team numbers around 10 people, that is, 10 people building something meant to challenge platforms with thousands of employees and billions in resources. There is something almost stubborn about that ratio, and it reflects the philosophy driving the entire project. That philosophy has deeper intellectual roots than you might expect. Floros draws inspiration from Henri Lefebvre, the French philosopher who wrote about the right to the city in the late 1960s. Lefebvre argued that urban spaces should belong to the people who inhabit them, not just to commercial interests or state planners. Floros updates this concept for the digital age, call it the right to the social. The idea is that online spaces where we now spend so much of our lives should answer to the people using them, not to distant corporations mining attention for profit. This connects directly to a broader vision. Floros believes Europe has both the talent and the values necessary to build its own digital infrastructure, not as a copy of American platforms, but as something that reflects European priorities around privacy, human dignity, and democratic participation. The question is not whether Europe can compete feature for feature with Silicon Valley. The question is whether Europe can offer a different model entirely, a model where social media serves people rather than the other way around.